definitely getting into the full swing of summer now, so it is a busy time here on the Smallholding. And if you can see, I've finally got round, and it's finally time to prepare the allotment. So, I've finally taken off all the topsoil of this big patch here. For those that have watched the previous videos, I've done the 2 potato beds, and I've turned all the turf and the topsoil here, and it was just a complete mess. We've planted some stuff over there, but today I need to prep this monstrosity. So I'm back with my potential seeds. We'll go through them in a second, but right now I'm going to hill them up to 2, 4, probably 6 long hills that I can then plant along the hill. Why? Because I think it looks aesthetic, and I can keep walking down the paths, keep weeding, and keep on top of everything. So what have I got to grow? I've got some pumpkin seeds. I took these from when I carved the pumpkin, and I've read sometimes you can't propagate pumpkin seeds from the shop, but we'll see. That's the whole joys in doing our own gardening. I've got some runner beans from my granddad, bless him, the OG that some of you have seen on the Instagram and YouTube before, in a random plastic bag. I'm gonna do, the sun goes that way, so I want the runner beans kind of in this area. I'm going to put some canes up so they can run up there, which means that I'm going to have 2 smaller hills followed by 2 longer hills. What else have I got in here? Got some French beans, no. Kale, yeah, not doing that. So I've got some broccoli, I've got some cauliflower. I'm going to do a little row of those. I do have some tomato seeds, but I'm supposed to be putting them in the greenhouse that I've not constructed yet. So be it. Squash. I'm going to do a row of squash. They run on top of the soil, so I'm just going to do one of those and try and contain it the best I can. Swede. I love a swede. So in one row I'm going to do some swedes. We've done cabbage and done that. So that's the main plan of action. I'm not adding any amendments to the soil as it is. I got the compost developing, but this year I'm just going to see what it's like with no amendments at all, and each year I'll keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it, and hopefully it keeps getting better. But with that in mind, let me show you the update on the other bed. So this was the bed that I have recently planted. I've got 2 rows of cabbages up to here, around here. I've got 3 rows of onions up to about here, and I've tried planting leeks, my granddad's method, and I may have missed a bit of the instruction there, and I'll show you why now. The cabbages, for all of you keen gardeners, I've sowed straight into the ground, which I think is best to propagate in compost and soil, blah 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 blah. I didn't. We're seeing how it's going. However, the cabbages, these are cabbages. They're actually growing, plus a bit of grass. Cabbages. The onions, I spotted a few onions popping through the other day. Look at that. Look, look. Oh, can you see? Can you see? That is an onion, and that is an onion, and these are onions. So it's working, but my leeks, yeah, they're not really working. So the idea was to make an indent in here, put a seed down the bottom, and as it grows, on leek you've got the white bit and then the green bit. All the white bit is below ground, and only the green comes up. So if that's nice and deep, you get a nice big bit of white bit, and only the green stuff that you don't really eat is above ground. As you can see, something went wrong. That was one there. I think I've overwatered it, or the soil's too flowery. But the great thing is, you put something in the ground and you give it a go, and we'll see what happens. But we will come back to that as the videos continue. So let's make my rows. So these are my potato rows. I'm just going to emulate these hills next to them so I can keep walking up and down them and weeding them nicely. How do we do that, one might ask? Well, let me show you with my shovel and not my spade for those keen watchers. I don't need to explain myself. I am a shovel and spade nerd, that is not a problem. The soil here is so fine already. I haven't renovated or anything. I've literally just taken the topsoil off, and it is really crumbly. So I've lucked out here. I think on quite a lot of ground you'd have to rotivate it and break it up and let it develop. But here, touch wood, I don't have to do that. That's kind of why I'm not doing any amendments. We're just seeing how it goes, and yes, we have all these roots and stuff, but I'll weed as we go along, so hopefully we'll just keep on top of that. So I've turned that one to the right. I'm going to do exactly the same. It's going to be straight enough. I've said many times this channel, don't let perfection stop you from just doing a good job. So we've got about, using my super clever measuring stick, one step. So we start here. That's about right. Here we go again. So the joys of doing a garden bed for the first time, and that's why I've kind of gone with the no dig method the first time, is you don't know what's in the ground. Come the end of there, I just found 3 nails and a big piece of glass. Now, had I just kept putting stuff on top, may have been digging into that, I wouldn't have known what's there. So hopefully this just gives me a bit more confidence of when I've done this, as the years go by, I'll get less of this. So this is where the green bean trellis is going there. So this is just going to be 2 short ones, I'd say to about here, I think. Again, gone by eye, because that's where I want to go to. Another bit of glass and plastic. Ooh, awkward size, eh? Gone off on a bit of a tangent. I'll do one there. And go to the right. I'm going to have a flower area. That's what it's going to be. Because I can't get another one in. So that's fine. More glass. I'm sure, had I rotivated all this, I wouldn't be having these big-ish pieces. However, it's so fine, it just crumbles. So I'm not overly worried. Just neaten it up a little bit. A piece of hose pipe. Oh, it will improve. Stuff will either grow or not grow. That is their options. And there we have it. This is the allotment. All prepped and ready to be planted. So we've got a bit of a squiggle there, but it don't matter. As the years go by, the plan is to keep adding compost on each mound. Now that brings me to the compost. So for those that have seen it before, welcome back to my favourite compost heap. For those that have not seen it before, welcome back to my favourite compost heap. So how I've set it up is with pallets. Okay, so I've got 2 bays here, and I keep rotating one to the other. About 7 to 10 days, return it to the other one. Now we have had an extremely dry spell, which meant that my compost wasn't working. I couldn't really work out why, but basically it got too dry. So when I turned it, I made sure I absolutely soaked the hell out of it, and it's bloody working. I do need to get a compost thermometer thingamabob, but that's yet to come. But if I put the old tester in there, it is roasting not in there. We can see it is some real good stuff. You sniff. Yeah, it smells like mud. So what goes in here, you ask? Well, pretty much everything in the garden. I've got sheep poo in there. I've got sheep hay, sheep hay and sheep straw, not too much, because straw does take a little bit to break down. However, I put all the chicken straw in there. So in the chicken beds, just to clean them out, they're in crates. Dump that on there just before I turn it. And that makes sure that then goes on the bottom. All the other stuff goes on top. Yada 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 yada. It all works. And I also put some grass clippings in there. So you've got the carbon from the straw. Carbon from the straw? Yeah, carbon from the straw. Nitrogen from the grass and chicken manure. And basically, the more varied ingredients that go in there, the better the compost. So I've got grass, straw, hay, leaves, chicken poo, and sheep poo. This is what will be going on top of the beds at the end of the season, and it adds all the nutrients into the soil. Now you can buy compost in, which is just pretty good. But I think from what I've read, it's better to make compost on site, because all the organisms and bacteria and stuff from everything in my garden that's already thriving, I'm putting in here and then putting it back on the garden. I'm not bringing anything else from different climates, different environments. I'm bringing all the stuff that I've made here. So that's the excitement there. I don't have to turn it, it's still hot in there. But are you all as excited as I am about a heap of muck? So that's the compost. If you want any tips, comment below, and we can have some more interesting compost chat. So now the nightly duck moving. I say chore, it's really not a chore. You see how easy it is. We've got it all set up nicely now. To remind you, the reason why we move it is to stop a build-up of this. When you say, hey, what's that? It is duck poo. They are very messy creatures. I can't obviously handle this tripod very well. So what we don't want them in this for too long. That's where germs and bacteria goes. So we take everything out, move it forward, and they'll be onto fresh grass. And if you can see all this mess here, this is where they have been. So they've come down here, they've done a U-turn, they've come back up here. This was where I was going to do the other allotment, but I got my hands full with all that stuff there, as you can tell. And they have been down there and all the way back here. And the grass looks really patchy, and as I say, it's because we've had such a long stretch of no rain. But I cannot complain, because it has been barbecue weather. So I will empty this and move them along. Ta-da! They are now onto new pasture. There's no poo, no bugs, no nasty... When I say bugs, I mean the nasty stuff. I'll just fill up their food for the night time. I find it quite handy having a waterproof bin right next to where you need all the food, so you don't have to keep walking backwards and forwards and all that stuff. I'll feed that. I will remind you of my homemade duck eating feeding station device. This is made out of guttering, an end piece and feet, with some holes drilled in the bottom so any water can spill out. I will fill them up with water. As you can see now, there's no duck poo. I'll fill up the water, fresh food, and they're chilling in the house, ready for a nice evening. And that means that tomorrow's chores are nice and easy. I don't have to move them, I just fill up the food. So I hope you guys enjoyed that whistle-stop tour of an evening here at Bramley Farm. For those that think that there's nothing you can't do with a shovel, I'll show you another trick. It's a little resting spot as well. So yes, it is a lovely evening here at Bramley Farm. We're just getting into the summer. I'm just prepping the beds, probably a little bit late, but life gets in the way. Do the best you can with what you've got. And yeah, just thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.